have the burden of a famous man to uphold.
What day is it? I'm Lizda. I'm from Mexico, from like the city, the main city, the capital city of Mexico. So I'm very used to like a lot of people. Why I decided to be part of this podcast, it was just out of curiosity, truth be told. Like I wanted to know what it was about and just like seeing what it was, because there are always a lot of new opportunities coming up all the time, and I know I've not been part of a lot of them, so I just wanted to be part of one. And why I think your podcast is the most awesome podcast in the entire world, I think it's because of you. Like everything you do is like incredibly creative. Like even German, you make German creative. Like how can one make German creative? I don't know. And like I always see you doing drawings or talking to people and like being yourself. So I think that's like really, really awesome.
All right, now I hope this interview can live up to your standards then.
Okay.
Okay, in that case, let us dive right in. Now, first question. Do you think stories are more escapist or reflexive?
I think they're more reflexive. Like even when people use fiction, for example, that it's to escape from reality, it's based still on what you see. Like even though you might use metaphors, or you might use magical creatures, or you might use a character that is from another country, another continent, another ethnicity, who speaks a language that you have never heard, it still has a part of you. And like in all authors, the published and the unpublished ones, you can see bits and pieces of themselves in all of their stories. Like even if they change genres, like they might do like historic novel and then change to poetry and change to another thing, but still you can see their style, like their personality, their way of writing, or their way of telling it. Even it all like has traces of themselves. And like I know some people, I personally use parts of myself in characters.
So self-inserts.
Yeah, self-inserts, but it's not completely me. It's just like, okay, maybe I put like when they're angry, they do this thing that I also do, and when this one does that, I have also done that, or stuff like that. And I guess all other authors also do that, so it's still reflexive, even if they try to distance themselves from the story.
So you mentioned how personal like backgrounds, cultures, just basically personal tones in stories, they carry through writing, all kinds of writing. Yes. Now I have several follow-up questions. Would you say that a self-conscious author, so an author who knows who they are and knows how they write, be it with like a lot of beta reading and beta readers or whatever, right? A self-conscious author writes a personally subversive book. So they recognize all of their personal traits and they go the opposite direction. They write a book that they would have never written as like a direct opposite of themselves. Would you say that this is like, would you say that it's still part of them?
Yes, because in order to really do the opposite of you, you have to know exactly who you are. Like there's this thing with true and false exams, for example, that they say that even if you do not you do not know anything, the lowest you can get is a 50, like a 50%.
Yeah.
The only way you can get a 0% is if you know exactly what the right answers would be and you answer them wrong. So if you do the same in the story, like it's still you, like it's still based on you, because to do an opposite of you have to know yourself.
I see. That's like that one scene in Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that authentic comparison requires real understanding. I completely agree with that. How about now that we know that this is part of who they are, right? Even they write a very subversive book regarding like in context to themselves, right? Let's look at this from a standpoint of genuineness, of authenticity, right? What makes an authentic story? Let's make a comparison, right?
Okay.
Let's compare the two biggest figures in let's compare the biggest fantasy writer in history and the biggest fantasy writer of today. George R. Martin and J.R.R. Tolkien, right?
Okay.
Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, or Song of Ice and Fire. But basically how they're different is for Tolkien, right? Tolkien's been in World War II, he has witnessed atrocities, he has lived through trauma and everything, but he writes a very morally, like, a book with morally paragon characters, right? Absolutes. He writes a book about, like, treasuring and, like, growth and fantasy and the soft, velvety gentleness of the world. That's his book. While George R. Martin, he's never been to war. He's lived through no trauma. He's just this old white guy, right? But he writes super morally ambiguous stories, grimdark. He's like the papa of grimdark. Now, would you say that Tolkien's books is more authentic to Tolkien than Martin's books is more authentic to himself? Or is it the other way around? What's your thoughts?
I feel like through people's writings you can see their perspective of the world or what they would want the world to be. So I guess Tolkien's way of writing, like, to make it, a better world, like an absolute, like there is no right or wrong. It's the way he saw all the things that happened. Because yes, there were atrocities, there were horrible things, right? But he also experienced maybe like the small snippets of hope in there. And another important thing to take into account is that not all the information, like he witnessed them, like all this things happening, but all the information was not available yet to him because it was all classified. Like we're still in trials and stuff like that. So he was only based on what he saw, and that makes it authentic because it's based on his personal stance, right? If you talk about Game of Thrones and his author, like it is based on it's complicated because it's based on the conception, like his perspective on concepts that have already been built and explored. So the perspective will always be authentic because a perspective always is. If it's not authentic, then it's not a perspective. It's just research or it's just analysis, but it's not a perspective. So if you say, oh, he wrote it on his perspective on these things that happen, and for him this is the world and this is how the world is, and therefore he tries to portray it in his novels, then it's authentic. But if it's like, oh, he saw these atrocities, he puts different names to it, but it's the same thing, and he did not change anything, then it's not authentic. It's
a history book.
Yeah, it's a history book. Just you put a nickname to it.
Okay, so you would say that the difference between Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones regarding authorial intent is that, or like authorial background, is Lord of the Rings is written from a subjective standpoint, while Game of Thrones is written from a objective standpoint.
Yeah, because they are like the fact that Tolkien was immersed in that in like those circumstances means that he had to have a subjective perspective. Like he was there.
Bias.
Yeah, there was bias because he was there. But in Game of Thrones, he was already detached from that, and he decided how much he wanted to get inside those circumstances. Like he decided which atrocities he wanted to look at and which ones not. While Tolkien had those circumstances smack him in the face.
I see. Okay. Stemming down from this, your response, let's make a more absolute metaphor. Right?
Okay.
Let's say a criminal does something.
Okay.
Right? Something very morally arguable, right? Very morally ambiguous. Now there's two judges, right? Judge A, let's say, is a great scholar. He has seen what the criminal does and has seen cases of previous criminals who've done similar things as the one in question. That's Judge A, right? And Judge B is blank slate. He takes everything at face value. He approaches this subject. Let's say every time he goes to court, he takes a pill, and that makes him forget all of his prior experiences. And he only regards the files given to him and the testimonies of like the juries and everything, right? Which judge would you prefer?
I feel like it's in the term of justice, it would be better the one that's like a blank slate regarding experience, but not regarding the law. Like, he knows the law, he knows, let's say he or she has all of the law memorized, but it has not been biased by previous experiences, right? That would be the ideal judge, because a judge is someone who, despite their humanity, tries to be partial to it all, and tries to take a stance from what the law represents. So, like, the thing is, in storytelling, there is no law, you know? But if you want something that is, like, impartial, like, just, that's what happens, this is what it says we should do, that's what I'm going to do, then Judge B is the best. But if you try to, because we are humans, we always try to look at it in the humane way, always taking into account not only what they have done, but their background, right? So, what drove them to do it? Why did they do it? With what did they do it? Are they remorseful of it? Do they feel no remorse? Are they likely to do it again? What about their family? What about the victim's family? Everything. That is Judge A, right? Yeah. And they have not only take into account all the circumstances relating the crime, but also the consequences that previous crimes that they have judged puts in them. So most people will say that is the best judge. I see. Because they take everything into account. They do not let a crime define a person. They define a person by who they have been, not who they are at the moment. And I think in law, of course, Judge B is better than Judge A. But in humanity, Judge A is better than Judge B.
I love how you contrasted subjective experience over objective judgment through a artificial context. That's pretty cool. So, personally, right, for you, this is similar to like the Judge A and Judge B question. Obviously, it's a difference in perspectives, how broad and comprehensive they are, right? But for you, right, do you prefer more perspectives in a story or a singular perspective? A strong linear focus? I
love when you get first a linear perspective of it all, so you create like this becomes your perspective, right? I love unreliable narrators, basically. They tell a story and you see the story through their eyes and you start understanding the story by what the narrator believes. But then you get given even one chapter of someone else's perspective. It doesn't even have to be an important character. It can just be, let's say, an extra that was just witnessing the same scene that they lived in. So let's say the reliable narrator had a perspective, right? Let's see, this was here. This is the unreliable narrator. And they were all people watching what happened, right? And this is what happened. So you get the perspective this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you get given the perspective of this one or this one or this one, you can see how the narrator is an unreliable narrator. Like you get challenged on what you see, and it's like, okay, if this scene, like I was only given one chapter, and in this scene it's obvious that the narrator was unreliable. Does that mean the whole story was biased and stuff like that? But that's a personal opinion. I know most people are like, no, I like a lot of perspectives, so they see all the components of the story, but I like the little surprises. Like you get told a story and it's like, well, that story that you got told, maybe it's not the real story. Yeah,
maybe they're yeah. So you mentioned non-reliable narrators. I'm assuming the narrator in this context isn't like a third-person omniscient point of view guy telling you. It's more of the main character through their eyes and everything. In that sense, aren't all narrators unreliable?
Yes, because they're telling the story that they want to tell, not the story that happened. Like all narrators, even the omniscient author, is telling the story that they want to tell. I know, like for example, there's parts of the story that is like, I have no control over it, it's just getting written, and that's the only logical way to go, but still your brain making them, you know. So it's still unreliable, and all the metaphors that you might make to yourself or to real world, it's still through your perspective. Like it's still parts of you. Going back to the start of it, it's still like, even though you want to detach yourself the most from it and make it the most objective thing that has ever lived, a human made it, so there's gonna be human stains on it.
Of course, because you're now writing a history text.
Yeah.
And history are written by the victor, so anyways, that's also unreliable.
Yeah, even history is unreliable. Yeah.
Okay, good answers. Next question. What makes a story feel handcrafted rather than manufactured? Like, what are you looking for in a story that gives it that sort of tingly feeling that is just tailored to you?
I feel like it's something new. Like nowadays it's difficult to create something new, because it's like, okay, you created something new, yes, but that new thing was actually already made by other 8 people in this country or stuff like that. But it's that little, it might be the same story but told from a different perspective. It's all about perspectives. And it's because authenticity and originality cannot be measured, and what might feel authentic to you might feel like repetitive to others. But I feel like it also depends on the culture in which you were raised. So like anything that is outside my own culture, for me, feels very original because I have never experienced it. So anything that you put in front of me that was not something I was already exposed to will feel original. In terms of getting manufactured, I feel like there is a point in which the author loses, like there are a lot of authors that lose their authenticity for the sake of money. So like they you see this in, for example, series that they write three seasons, and they are the best seasons that had ever been made. It's such a new concept, it's well written, well evolved, all the characters have this great arc, and it gets popular because of that. And then everyone's like, oh, I wish there was more, and I wish this character had this and that and that. And then they decide, like the company that decided to produce the work of this author says like, oh, the public is demanding this, we have to give it to them. So the author, instead of like, there are some authors that are like, oh great, I had a lot of like plot points that I had not discovered, and this is a great opportunity for me to branch. But there's others that are like, but the story has already been told, like my message was already sent, the story already finished, and that was the end that I wanted. But the producing company is like, no, the public still wants it, and the author does it, I feel like that is when it loses authenticity. When it's not done for the sake of the story, but for the sake of the money.
I see.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting because you mentioned series. So franchises, right? So what you said, like when a franchise drags on, it fails. In that case, you're saying that continuity, so arguably the core of what makes a franchise is its biggest downfall. So would you agree to the statement that all big franchises are doomed to fail?
I feel like all mega franchises are doomed to fail unless they were intended to be a mega franchise from the beginning. Like,
I see.
if the author is like, okay, I have 1 million words, I cannot put it in one single book or in one single series. Let me divide it. I put the first one up, and if they like it, I slowly put the other ones up. But I already have it planned. Like, this book is not introduction, climax, end. This is the introduction. This is still the introduction. Here we have development. Here we have, we go back. We get the climax. We solve it, but it's not the end. We get another problem. But it was intended like that since the beginning. Like, it's still the story. It was just divided.
I see.
When the author reaches, like, they tell the story, they reach the end. That is what the story is. The characters need to be put to rest. That's it. But they force more, then it's doomed to fail.
I see. So you would argue contrary, like, okay, two types of franchises again.
Okay.
Right? One, let's say a book franchise, right?
Yeah.
7 books, because 7 is a holy number of books. Let's say franchise A, 7 books. Each book is its own story, own secluded story, although it's continuous. Like, let's say Harry Potter, right? Very, very archetypal 7 franchise book. Each book with like a beginning, middle, and end. So that's that. Or we have a series like, let's say like Dune, where the beginning, where the entire series is considered as one giant narrative, where the beginning, you don't know where it is. Maybe it's in the first, maybe it's in the second, and the build-up. So across the 7 books, there's one story. So that's B. Or across 7 stories, there's across 7 books, there's 7 stories. Which one do you prefer?
It depends on the passion that I have for it. If I like it, if it's a theme that I'm interested on, I prefer for it to be dragged along as most as possible. Like, I do not care the flow that you follow as long as it's true and it feels natural. Right? But, and some, like, I feel like, for example, Harry Potter, since it's designed or tailored for younger audiences, it has to have that, like, rush and then let's go down and rush again, because otherwise you cannot maintain them engaged, right?
That's true.
But it's still original because the authors still wanted to tell a story. Sure. Personally, I prefer one that is like, yes, we have, like, you finish the book, but the story has not been told yet, right? Or like, you only see one part of the story. You have to read the other one to know the other parts of it, right? And they might both be like marketing strategies. Like, one is like, oh, you got the rush from this one, so the next one will have the same rush and a rush and a rush and a rush. Or, well, you finished the book, but if you actually want that rush, you have to buy the other 6. But it's like, the problem is storytelling gets mixed up all the time with money, like nowadays. But putting examples like, I don't know, AO3, Archive of Our Own, like, you have little snippets that might be like only 3,000 words long, right? It's just like a small story, right? It's still truthful, and the author might make other snippets like that, and they might all be truthful, and they are all from the same universe, but it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there is no way to tell, oh, this story is worth it or this story is not, unless you read it. Yeah, you cannot tell the worth of a story just by seeing it.
So, based on your answer, would you say that you're a sucker for cliffhangers?
Yes.
All right, bet. Personally, I'm in a love-hate relationship with cliffhangers.
Oh no, there's this author, Mexican author, Antonio Malpica. Like, his books usually end in an open end. And once I went to a book signature of him, and there was a group of students that were sent by their teacher to ask the author about this book that they were reading. So, in the book, there is someone that gets she is there's the main the narrator, and he has a friend group with a popular guy and a girl that's usually rejected, and she disappears one day, and she sends a USB drive and saying that the popular friend had sexually assaulted her. And through the whole book, it's just this narrator telling how the popular guy got like hunted, like he was under threat by many people, he was persecuted through the country by people of his school. And you get all of this told by this guy who thinks, and everyone thinks, that the girl committed suicide, right? And at the end, he says that he sees a girl walking and that she is very much like the girl that died. And the book ends by him approaching the girl and asking her if she is who he thinks she is. That's the end. And the students were like, oh, well, was it her? Was it her? And the author was, do you believe it was? Then it is. And another guy was like, no, but I don't think it was her because the book said this and this and this. And the author said, if that's what you believe, then that's what happened. So it's like, even through the creativity of the author, he lets you use your creative side. So I feel like that's cliffhangers, because cliffhangers are like, this happened, and based on everything else that has happened and you have read or have seen, you have to make ideas, even if it's just the change of a page from one chapter to another. There's still time for your brain to be like, oh, then this happened, no, this happened, this. That's why I love it. It's like, it lets me create my own story.
It's a breeding ground for fan fiction.
Exactly. That too.
So would you say that, let's say after the ending of a book or a series, right, the author has already stated, okay, I'm not gonna make any literary canon on this anymore, like, this is finished, over, the end, zilch, nada, no more. Do you think fan interpretations, like fan sequels and everything, do you think they're valid? Do you think that they add to the, do you think they should be added to the canon?
No, because the moment you add more to the canon, you limit other fanfics from being created. So you get this, like, it finishes, and from here, people can stem, right? So you can get different alternate universes. So for example, one in which the character escapes, one in which the character dies, one in which the character becomes the enemy now. And all of them are valid. They are all created by people who use their creativity, and it's their perspective on the story and their perspective on the characters, or built in a hypothetical universe in which this character actually changes and now behaves like that. And if an author decides to make one of those works a canon, that means that the possibility for all the other works that have already been created and the works that were created on the creations are no longer not say valid, but they're no longer true. They're no longer true to the story. So some people might disregard it. For example, in Harry Potter, that J.K. Rowling finished writing it, and then there was a fan that created the Cursed Child, and J.K. Rowling was like, "Oh, this is the canon. This is part of the canon."
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that was a fanfic.
That was
the Cursed
a
Child was a fanfic.
The Cursed Child was a fanfiction.
Crazy.
It was not written by her, and she decided to make it canon, right? And many fans were angry at her for doing that. Not only because it limited their imagination, so like they can no longer say like, oh, and after this is what happened. I don't know, Harry Potter became the Dark Lord. You can no longer say that because it's no longer part of the canon. And once if someone makes an alternate universe based on that, it's harder for other people to create an alternate universe of the alternate universe. Like you see in AO3, for example, that it says this work is inspired on this other work, and it's like a web of fan fictions that were created on the main source. So if you create a new main source, you change everything.
This is very interesting. I have 2 questions regarding your opinions on fan fiction. Okay. Let's just most recently the one after your answer about the ending of a story, right? Do you think fan fiction are created more for speculation after the end of a story, or regarding the mystical elements in there that remains unanswered? Or do you think fan fiction serves as a means of escape for the audience? Let's say they saw the death of a major character, they didn't want it, so they went in, they changed the plot, sort of, maybe though they derailed it, whatever, but they go in and then they made it so that this character lived because they didn't want to see them die? Or do you think it's for speculation after the ending? Which one do you think is more appropriate?
I think, more appropriate is speculation. More common is escapism. Like a lot of for example, all the fluff, no angst ones that are created based on like dystopian novels are all escapism, because it's like, okay, they all suffered, they all died, but what if they all owned a coffee shop in the suburbs and they were happy? That is escapism, definitely. It's still creativity, of course, and it's still based on their perspective and their experiences, and everything is still authentic, of course. I think, however, it's more appropriate as if respectful to the story, to the main story, to speculate. Because you do not say like, oh, I deny everything that happened, this is what I want to do. No. You take everything that happened, and based on that, and based on what you have understood of the characters and the plotline and the universe, because a lot of them are not created in our universes, they're created in their own. Based on all of that, you continue the story. It's like if you continue the legacy of the author without being bound to like, I don't know, like all the laws that authors might follow for their producers. But it's like, I appreciate your work, I take all the work that you did, and I'm gonna carry it through my story. Well, whatever they want to do with that story, it doesn't matter, because they will all have different ends, but they take the story that was given to them instead of denying the bits and pieces that they do not like and creating a new one. Because then it's like, yes, you might use the same characters, yes, they may have the same archetype, but they no longer have that development that the author intended for them. So it's like, okay, if you do not like the story because it changed, like you do not like those plot lines, maybe read another one that you might like.
Okay.
But I mean, it's not like I can tell them like, hey, do not write it, because I read those things. So, but I feel like it's more appropriate
for speculation.
The speculation
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
You mentioned the quote-unquote legacy of the author. How sacred and maintained do you think the legacy should be? So let's say fan interpretations, again, fanfic. Would you say the author has a definitive say on their story even after the story ends, or is it now in the hands of the audience?
I think the moment an author says it has ended, they have rights on whatever happened before they say it's ended. Like everything that they wrote before the end is their own, and the impact that those words have on the world is their own, and they have rights to that. But whatever happens after that, they get no say. It's something that I've been told by my family. You're responsible for what you say, not what other people interpret. So the author is responsible and has rights for what he or she or they have said, but they cannot get angry at the interpretation of other people. So fanfiction is that's based on speculation. That is done for speculation, is based on their perspective and their interpretation of that novel or that piece of work. So the legacy of what they have done is to be respected, but the author does not get mad at their readers for reading, processing and interpreting their story. There's this thing, for example, with authors that have already passed away, long time ago. Obviously, the values of their time are reflected on the story, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people get mad at oh no, this book was sexist, racist, homophobic. It's like, yes, it is, because it was created in that time. Yes, do not celebrate that it is racist, sexist, or homophobic, but take into account the values of the time. You cannot judge the past on the values of the present.
I see.
Because the future, if that was true, then the future gets to judge you based on your values. There's no... Ethics is always changing, and morals are subjective. So it's yes, do not condemn it, but read the story knowing the context.
Alright, so you would say that authors that put trademarks over their works is pure bleh.
What?
So would you say that so you would agree that authors that put trademarks over their own characters and own stories is complete buffoons?
Yes. The ones that, let's say, they patent their characters, it's either you're obsessed with the character or you want to make money off the character.
I think you think too highly of yourself, man.
Yeah,
okay.
You can write for yourself and write to be truthful to yourself, but the moment you decide to publish it, whether for money or for just to give it to the world, you are willing to let other people read it, and you're willing to let those characters live in other people's minds. People, of course, there's this code of honor. For example, in AO3, that's if you are not going to say anything nice, better not to say anything. But it's still you gave it to the world. You were that was your intention.
What did smut give to the world?
It depends. Some people say oh, it's experience. It's not, because it all depends on the author. And if the author has no experience, well, if it's based on the industry of
I see,
it's very much not true.
Okay.
Some people it's just the rush, you know? Some people's just the curiosity, like what would happen if these two characters who are not even like, one is from How to Train Your Dragon, the other one's from Frozen, what would happen? Or like stuff like that. It's just creative freedom. I think like that genre in specific, it's just okay for some people might be like, you know, the sexual arousal.
Yeah.
For some people it might be curiosity, as I said. For other people it's like they want to see intimacy between the characters, and that's like the most intimate you can get with somebody. Like some people believe that. Or for example on Fluff, that it's all emotional, it's all that's cuddly and nice. That might be the sense of intimacy, like emotional intimacy. But I feel it's all just human curiosity.
For now, I've read a very interesting sort of idea. So we have breaking the fourth wall, right?
Yeah.
When a character speaks to the audience in the real world. Would you say that fan fictions break the fifth wall in terms of they can take two characters from different pieces of media and they can jam them together either in a separate world or in the real world? Would you say that they broke? Okay, well, this is not really a question, but like I heard that is a form of breaking the fifth wall.
Yes, it is. Like I think the most ancient way, well, not the most ancient. They probably did in Greece, but the one of the oldest documented modern ways is the, I don't remember the name. It's like How to Train Your Brave Tangled Dragon, something like that. And it's Tangled, How to Train Your Dragon, Brave, Tangled, Frozen, and they all they also put the, how do you call it in English? The Guardians, like there's like Jack Frost and
the Guardians,
the Guardians,
yeah.
And they all put it together in one universe, right?
I see.
And some people put them together in a universe where they all go to university, or where they are all in the How to Train Your Dragon universe, right? Or they make crazy stories. And yes, it is a way of breaking the fifth wall. And if authors put trademarks to their characters, like you cannot do that, they would inhibit this kind of like creativity, because it's a it's a universe that a lot of fans decided to create, and they created a whole new fandom just on characters, and they were only some of them were only based on the personalities and the names of the character. Like they were taking completely outside of their universe. Some of them used like mischaracterization, I guess you could say. Some others try to very much stick to the true, like what they see as the true character, right? So like their personality, like if this happened to this character, this is how they would react. But once again, it's all human curiosity. Like, what would happen if we jam this universe? Is that there is no way they exist together. Like, sure, maybe Frozen and Tangled, if you put them in like historical context in our actual universe, maybe. But like, there is no way there was a girl that could turn an entire lake into ice. You know. But it's all curiosity, and it's all, creativity.
Okay, so you would say that, so two questions, one fast, one long answer. So, with your definition, you would agree that Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Wrecks the Internet, and Ready Player One are both fanfic movies?
Yeah, I think they have snippets of fanfiction on them. And it's kind of what I said, like sometimes there's fanfiction that becomes canon. So maybe it's because movies such like that, they do not, like, they have an executive writer, but they have an entire group of writers, right? So just statistically, there's a very, very, very big chance that someone in that group of writers also writes fan fiction.
Yeah.
So they might even take like inspirations from themselves to like put them into that, and it's just creative exploration.
I see. You mentioned changing characters, so OOC. Wait, do you know the term OOC?
I know OC, like original character.
I don't know if this is like a Chinese isolated
terminology.
Term. Yeah, isolated term. But OOC basically means, like you said, mischaracterization, but like purposeful mischaracterization. So do you like OOC more? Do you think they're like more important, or do you think remaining loyal to an original character in a fan adaptation is more important?
I feel like if you want to do mischaracterization, I think that's the tag, for example, in AO3. You have to be aware that you're doing it. Like, you have to say, this, I did it intentionally. Like, I'm aware this is the character, I took it and I flipped it. But if you want to make, like, that's, for example, a use or just curiosity, just like, I want to write something, let's see what happens. Which is totally valid, and that's how a lot of stories start. But if it's all speculation, like, and this is how I think it's going to end, then you should stick to like the character's personality. Yeah, because otherwise it's no longer speculation, it's in AU.
Yeah. So, actually, my writing journey sort of like, you could say, got restarted by fan fiction. In 7th grade, my friends started a Undertale fan fiction. I was so interested. Like, the quality of fan fiction was so unheard to me. It's like, okay, so it's fan fiction with like OCs and everything. It's like, so okay, so in this case, fan fiction, they're using the world of Undertale, with like the main character Frisk. They're using that with, and then they're plugging in their own OCs in there. It's like 4 people, that have their little own OCs inserted into the world. And that was so unheard of to me. It's like a multiverse conjoining event, you know. And I was so inspired, and that's what got me like back into writing after like a long block. Although that fan fiction sort of like spiraled away after a while. But yeah, good stuff. Okay. It's a very in-depth exploration of fan fiction, the mentality of audience participation.
And like, I've seen a lot of, for example, they say a lot in AO3, like, if you want an author to continue writing, you have to write comments to them, because kudos, you can only live once. But the comments are what like drives the author to be like, you do have an audience, there's people hearing you, come on, write it. There's people who say like they live orphan accounts, so you know that fan fiction that it's so good, and then you see last update 2014, which is like, yes, like, in a way you give your work to the audience, but you don't owe yourself to the audience, you know?
I see.
Like, you told the story, you decided to present it to them, but you don't owe yourself to the story and to the audience. It's complicated, but yeah.
Okay. Regarding, so you said that stories are dependent on messages, like the quality of their art is dependent on the themes that they give. Do you think that artists hide meaning intentionally, or do we just dig too deep?
I feel like sometimes, like, most of the times they do, like, there's intentional things. So like, for example, they always say art is political.
Yeah.
Because it will always show like the political stance of the author.
Would you say that is the political stance of the author or the political stance of the audience?
I think it's the political stance of the audience because everyone will interpret it different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I said, you're responsible for what you say, not for what other people interpret. So, like, yes, you give meaning, and for example, Frida Kahlo puts a lot of symbolism in her paintings. So she puts, I don't know, a fetus or industrial America to represent like, I'm mad at this, or like indigenous parts in desolate deserts of America, and she says like, no, this is my cultural clash. But sometimes the audience digs too deep. Like they say, and this specific hex code of color that they used in this painting represents the tears, because since she had the gene 3-4.7, her tears were that color. No, maybe that was the only color of blue that was in the store at the moment. And that is why it's difficult to interpret art of authors that are already dead.
I see.
And a part of like, you can draw parallels with translation of books. So I've been taught that there are two types of translation, like when there's languages. One that is word for word. So you take, there is, and you say ahí, I, for example, in Spanish.
Yeah.
And there's another one that's like the translation of ideas. So for that you need an author that is alive. And you need the translator and the author to work together, because the translator will be like, okay, I translated this passage. Is this really what you intended to say with it? And the author might be like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say. That's exactly the idea, even if though you use different words. That's exactly the idea. Or be like, no, that's your interpretation of what I said. That's not what I wanted to say. Change it. And it's kind of that. It's
well, they're making their own fanfic.
Unintentionally, you make your own fanfiction when you're translating, because like story is a message. A lot of people say it's a message. Like this is how, for example, on the writer of Hunger Games, Susan Collins. They say she writes when there's a message to be said. So a lot of people say like, oh, she's starting to write again because of everything that's happening in America. And this is her way of telling the government like, you're doing, like, people like, the government is doing wrong, right? And that's her message. But messages do not always have to be political. They do not always have to be like entirely philosophical. They might just be like, hey, pay attention to this thing that happened, or this thing that happens. For example, there's a book called The Best Wings, and it's about people, like kids that live on the street and work on the street in Mexico. So the author is not like, oh, and this is showing the oppressive, tyrannical stance of the government. It's not that. It's just, hey, look at this situation that's happening. This is their world. You should be aware of it. So the message, you cannot know the message unless you ask them. You cannot, because everything is an interpretation. Like everything that you say, oh, they must mean that, it's all interpretation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned audience digging. How far they dig? Do you agree that the depth of their interpretations is dependent only on the fame of the author?
No.
Okay.
Like people might intend to dig digger when it's something that they can brag about.
I
so
see.
It is dependent on the fame of the author, but not because the author is famous, but more like they will like it's something that they can bring up easily to other people. Like I can tell you all about like I can just learn everything and dig as deep as possible in Frida Kahlo, in Van Gogh, in like all the important, like Edgar Allan Poe. I can all learn it and analyze bit by bit, word by word, because it's something that if I start talking, everyone will be like, oh, this is a super known author. Yes, I've known about it. It's so interesting that you have that perspective. I had never seen that symbolism in the word that he used in the first sentence of
Should
his
he use the or a or
one?
Yeah.
And that's so interesting that you analyze the 10th chapter of his 9th novel that was translated into, I don't know, Latin. It's so no.
Okay.
So like there's people who dig deep in authors that were never known or that are like very, very niche. And I feel like it's authentic when they do it for the sake of curiosity and just exploring. But when they do it for like, oh, look how much I know about art, it's not.
Okay. Okay, there's something interesting that I want to share. It's basically as a writer, right? I feel like a lot of times you can make your audience dig for things, even though you don't know what things they're digging for. Now, what this means is basically you need to have a very strong prose. So you need to write good, right? And you need to write good enough so the audience knows that you're a good writer in terms of language.
Yeah.
Right? And then you can include like something completely unrelated. Let's say you've written a short story. You're writing a short story on a murder mystery, right? Or maybe not genre fiction. Let's say you're writing a short story about how a brother falls down a well and another brother tries to pull him up, right? And then, like, let's say you use perfect descriptions, metaphors, similes, beautiful language, right? And then you straight cut to a banana peel on the ground, and then you describe the banana peel like 4 sentences, abrupt cut back to the brother in the well. You don't need to explain everything on the banana peel because your audience, they know that you're a good writer in terms of language, so they would unconsciously associate your good language with a good theme, a good plot.
They will think it's a metaphor about the brother sleeping through his fingers, because through the banana usually people sleep, so they are talking about this and the desperation. Yes, I feel like when you have certain legitimacy, let's say, with your audience, you are able to use more abstract metaphors that are thought-provoking. So there's a lot of authors that are like, I write amazing things, but I will leave this ambiguous, so you have to think. I have no say in what you think, but you have to think. That is awesome, and that's saying back to Antonio Malpica. That's something that he does. He writes awesome things, and then he leaves the end open, and you're like, you cannot even be mad at him for not putting a concrete end, because it was so good. The writing was so good. You thought all the time, but it was so organic that it felt like, okay, yes, wow, you're a great writer. You made me think. What? How? But it all depends on the quality of your writing and your ability to immerse the audience in what you write.
Let me read you a passage of one text that immersed me the most in the last 3 years. It's from this very niche fan fiction, actually. Ooh. I don't think you've ever heard of it before. It's so niche. It's called Passerine, by the way.
Oh, don't worry. I have.
Of course I know you've heard of it before.
No, I don't think I have.
Oh no?
No, but like I have also niche fandoms. For example, there's this one. Well, now it's no longer a trilogy, but it was a trilogy written in like set in the 2000s. In 2007, it was written in 2007, called The Foxhole Court, about a fictional sport.
Oh.
And it's so like people. The fandom's always debating because some people say like it's so well written. Someone say it's the worst writing I've ever heard, but it's so intriguing. So believe me, I know about niche fandoms.
Yeah. Okay. I was introduced it with the idea that you've heard it before because it's actually the one of the top 3 fanfics on AO3 right now.
Okay.
So a passage. The only paintings on the walls now were the landscapes Mama used to make. Tommy's favorite was the one of a mountain range shrouded in blue mist, because he could see in the corner where Mama had given him the brush for a few seconds. 3 errant brush strokes in an otherwise perfect painting that stood as a reminder that once upon a time Tommy had existed in the same universe as his mother.
Damn! That was
the whole. Trust me. Search for Passerine on AO3. It is good. It is. It is a mental like it grabs your heart, caresses it, and smashes it on the ground, and then like gathers it to pieces and blows a kiss on it. Like what even is that? Okay, but yeah. Moving on.
That was like because even though it's like 2-3 sentences, there's this might be me digging too deep. There's like so much said in those. So like I have not read this at all. Like you could see my face like, what is that? But it's like you get so like a lot of context from it. So like, okay, there was a mom, there was a kid called Tommy. The mom used to paint. The mom probably died because he said something about a universe in which they live together, but that means they no longer live in that. So Tommy and you can like take a lot from
extrapolate
it.
A lot.
Yeah. Obviously with the context of many chapters that you've read, you can be like, oh, and that, and that, and that. But for example, in passages like you just read or paintings, you only get a snippet of it.
Yeah.
Like you only get a small fraction. You have to look for everything else. In paintings, you have to look, like when was this author born? Where did they grow? Did they go to art school? Did they not? What was their ideological sense? In writing, if it's a passage, you have to go see like the start of the story and read it all. If it's a poet, you have to read all like more of their work to actually know that. But the fact that they can catch you in just like 1 or 2 sentences is like, wow. Like you gotta really be able to tell a story, like not tell words, tell a story to be immersive.
Yeah.
So
this fanfic actually made me rethink my my standpoint on writing. I feel like as a so I write really long books, and I've gradually started to believe that the quality of writing is dependent on the amount of words you give. So the less words you give, the better your writing is. That at least that's for me. So it's a pretty personal one. And Passerine, it basically every single passage is like this. There's either a subtle humor or emotional like attachment to it. So it's very good. Go read it.
I will. Like, I'll just ask you like, hey, how do you write it? Thank you. I feel like what you say is true to some extent. it's not like the quality of writing cannot be told by the number of words you have written, but how concise it is.
Yeah, how concise
Yeah,
it is.
like if you take 3 chapters to describe to me that charger, I will not read it, you know? Unless there's an entire metaphor on the charger and you're actually telling a story through it. But those that are like, I don't know how to say, like charged sentences, like in just 5 words you have told me everything, or like you have given so much meaning to these words that otherwise are not related. That's what makes good storytelling, because you're telling a story, you're not telling words, you know? You cannot just say this, then this, then this. You have to connect them all. And when you do concise writing, like small, compact, everything has meaning, it's such a like thought-provoking, immersive, wonderful writing. And it also leaves a lot for people's interpretation, because it has so much meaning in each word that people might only take some words and say like, this is the meaning I give, or someone might take like different words, and that gives a lot of richness to the story. Because even like those books, like you might read them today, and if you read them in a year, in 2 years, maybe even in a month, the meaning might change for you, and that's what makes it like a story worth it, you know?
I see.
Because the story exists, but it also grows with you. Yeah,
that makes sense. All right. Coming up on our last question for the interview. Would you choose immortality over who you are now?
Okay, this is complicated because I am very much afraid of dying. But I also feel like there's a point where it becomes pointless. Like, life is precious because it's scarce, you know? Like, it's like diamonds or stuff like that they like, something gains value the more limit there is to it. So there would be immortality would mean I would get to do crazy stuff and meet and go to every corner of the world and know everything. But once I've explored everything, once I've gone to the limit of humanity and human creativity and human curiosity, once curiosity is dead, there is no point of living. I feel like there would be a point where it's just like, okay, I've seen it all. What now? Am I just supposed to grow like? You cannot even grow old. You're just immortal. You just get bored. And I feel like I would not change it for who I am today, because like who I am, it's also snippets of pieces of people I love or I have loved, whether I still love them or like maybe I do not like them anymore. But it's such a difficult mix to get, you know, because like who you are will never exist again. Like sure, you can find people who are similar to you, or like who read fanfiction too, but it's going back, it's so scarce, so little it becomes precious.
I see.
So it's like, yeah, I would rather be myself.